The type of video I've seen kind of pop up a lot is these kind of like YouTube success stories, and it's usually somebody with, you know, a decent following at this point, saying, it's basically like encouragement type videos, and it's just saying, you know, I started here and nobody watched anything, and I just kept at it. I kept making videos, and, you know, look at me now. You know, I got like a following. It's grown a lot. You know, it's like that kind of thing, and not like in a bragging way, just in a like they're all kind of geared towards like encouraging newer people or like small channels like mine, just to kind of like don't give up when you don't really see results for a while. Just kind of like keep at it, and it'll end up happening. I see a lot of those, and when I was newer at this, or especially kind of before I had really started making videos in earnest, this is more just kind of like a vague idea, or kind of like a really inconsistent hobby of mine. Those videos were a lot more encouraging, so I would see these and they would be, you know, similar type videos to mine. It would be like vlogging type stuff, or just the, you know, like a talking video, just somebody talking about whatever topic, very like casual, kind of low effort. That's I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. Low effort as in, you know, not like super edited, not like a, you know, an in-depth video essay, you know, that they wrote a script for and have, you know, a bunch of like visual components or anything like that. Like lower effort is in just a more casual, like easy to make, less polished, less edited type thing, which is, you know, pretty much all the stuff that I do on here. So I'd see these channels that were kind of like me. You know, I found a lot of similarities, and they're saying, you know, here's my story, started, didn't really get a lot of traction, and then, you know, all of a sudden, or, you know, over time, whatever, they got a lot more of a following. And those were encouraging to me, and that kind of encouraged me to, you know, start putting some more effort into these and starting to be more consistent with these. Because for a while I would just make a video, you know, maybe like once every 2 months, probably not even that often, very sporadically, and you know, it would get absolutely, you know, no views, or, you know, free views, whatever, that kind of thing. No likes, no comments, no subscriptions, you know, no further growth of other videos, like from, you know, if they like went to my channel to see what else I did. Pretty much nothing to show for it. And I just thought, well, you know, I'm watching these videos of people who were in similar boat as me, and they said they just kind of kept up some consistency, and it all just, you know, grew from there. And that was very encouraging to me, and that kind of helped spur me along into putting a little bit more effort and consistency into these. And over time, the more I saw of these types of videos, the less encouraging they felt, and the more just kind of discouraging they felt. Because, and this is all purely kind of like comparison based, you know, comparing myself to other people. So I'm kind of well aware that is a pitfall into feeling bad about yourself. So with that in mind, they have felt, you know, very discouraging. Because it would just be these same types of channels, you know, just like something similar to me. A lot of times I'm seeing ones that, in my opinion, are not that interesting. You know, I know that's just a personal taste, but, you know, they would or at least just like it didn't seem like they had that much. They had kind of maybe like similar videos to me, and they would have not a whole lot of videos. You know, they would have like 20 videos or whatever, or less than that. They had 10 videos, and they would have, you know, in comparison to me, like a bunch of subscribers, and they would have like a couple hundred or like 1,000 subscribers, which is, you know, 10 to 100 times more than I have. So that, you know, significant boost to that. And, you know, they'd make these types of videos, and, you know, just kind of this like, oh, you know, why, you've probably seen videos like this. They're, a lot of times they're titled like, why you should start a YouTube channel, and why you should film your boring life, and why you should make stuff even if nobody's watching, and, you know, all kind of equivalent titles to that. And I watch these, and, you know, of course, most of the ones I'm seeing, it's not that nobody was watching them. You know, they're recommended to me because a lot of people are watching them, and they had, you know, at least somewhat of a following. And I would see that and just kind of look at my stuff, and especially some of the bigger ones, you know, they'd have not that many videos, and they'd say like, you know, nobody watched in the beginning, but now I just made 50 videos over the course of a year or whatever, and now I have like 100,000 subscribers, whatever. And it's always in that kind of like vein of like, you know, I never thought this was going to be possible. I never expected this when I started. Kind of like unexpected like success stories, and nothing wrong with these videos. They're all, you know, all the ones I've seen at least are all like encouraging. They're just trying to say like, hey, I know how it is. It's hard to start something. It's hard to get any kind of traction. It's hard to feel like it has any meaning or you know, worth just to like make videos when it feels like nobody's watching. But I don't know, something about seeing those, and, you know, they obviously do have a following and views and, you know, some type of community growth or whatever. And I don't know, something about it feels, I just don't really connect with it the way that I did maybe 2 years ago or so, before I was like really, maybe even just 1 year ago, before I was really starting to kind of like be consistent about these videos. And I, you know, there's tons of these videos, and, you know, of course, because I clicked on one, I get, you know, 10 more recommended, and I'll, you know, click another, and I get 20 more. So, you know, it's just kind of like a cycle like that. So there's obviously a ton of videos, lots of people thinking similar things, and probably all these people experience the same thing as me when they were starting out. So, you know, I think that's nice that they make these encouraging videos for newer people, because they know what it's like. But I just kind of feel like the gap there is growing. You know, the longer I do this, you know, when somebody's like, oh, you know, I thought nobody would ever watch these, but I made 50 videos over a year, and now I got 300,000 subscribers. And I'm just thinking, well, that's great for you. Like, I'm, you know, happy for anybody's success putting themselves out there. But here I am, you know, 120 videos or so in over a year, you know, pretty much no growth at all, you know, zero. I would say 0 to 10 views a video, you know, maybe a comment every 20 videos, no subscriber growth for several months. I think the last thing that happened with subscribers is I had made it up to 14 over several months, and then I lost one, and then I've gained none for several more months. So I don't know. it's all just kind of discouraging. You know, obviously the reason I'm doing these is because I like to, and I'm just trying to experiment with trying new things and, you know, expressing myself in different ways, trying to keep track of my life and kind of, you know, just like be a little bit more present with my day and just try and be more intentional with what I'm doing, which I think just filming helps, and, you know, kind of practice, you know, putting thoughts into words and becoming more like eloquent at speaking and, you know, all that kind of thing. So it's all that stuff's, you know, primary reasons I do this, but it's just something I've really noticed is like the encouragement I felt from all these types of videos, I really just don't anymore, and that feels more just like a personal, you know, issue than anything, just because I'm like comparing myself more now to them. But something that I do find still encouraging is I don't really see myself in the same place as these people anymore. It kind of feels like we've been doing the same type of thing, but what, you know, this person has had success and I have had like nothing. So I don't really feel like we're speaking the same language, you know, on some level. But something I do like is I see these same types of videos once in a while. You know, YouTube doesn't really recommend like low view videos very much, but I'll try and click on them when they pop up, and I'll see them, you know, same type of video, just encouragement, or, you know, it'll be something like why I stream, you know, games to an audience of 0, or why I film my life for no one to watch, or why I keep doing YouTube and nobody watches, like anything like that. And some of these will pop up and they will be kind of like a similar channel to me, just like very, very low views, you know, very low subscribers, like all that kind of stuff. And, you know, seeing those does feel a little bit more encouraging, because, you know, I'm seeing some of those people and maybe they've made like even more videos than me. They've been doing it for longer. You know, I just feel a little bit more solidarity with them, I guess, because we're currently in the same boat. You know, they're struggling with this just as much as me, but they're still out there and they're being positive and encouraging, and, you know, trying to help their fellow you know, video makers. I think that's really nice. I really like to see those videos. You know, I think I should probably just make one of my own, because I don't know, here I am talking about how discouraging all this feels, but I don't think it's that interesting to listen to somebody like me just kind of being like down about this and, you know, talking about things they don't like and, you know, all that. I think it's much nicer to watch a video like that, like somebody in the same boat as me, but they're out there, you know, being positive and trying to uplift other people, and, you know, kind of affirming their own worth in a way, you know, saying, you know, I am valuable as a person, you know, my experiences and thoughts matter, I'm putting them out there, and that's kind of enough. I don't need to have an audience for this to, I don't need to be validated by numbers, basically. You know, versus me, and I've made, you know, 1 or 2 videos like this that are just kind of like talking about how discouraged I feel about all this. So I think I definitely should maybe tap more into that kind of line of thinking. So maybe an upcoming video will be a little bit more encouraging. I'm really just focusing on trying to encourage myself, which is why I think I end up watching a lot of videos like this, because I'm feeling so discouraged. I'm looking for external validation and just kind of looking for somebody to be like, hey, you're doing a good job, keep at it. Your experiences are worthwhile, and what you're doing is worthwhile. Versus me being the person to say that kind of thing, which I think that is a nicer thing to put out into the world. Feel a little bit more meaningful. But not to say that I think any of my thoughts or feelings about this are invalid. I think, tons of people feel like this. There wouldn't be all these encouragement videos if it wasn't kind of a discouraging, area of creativity to be involved in. I think lots of people feel that way. And I'm sure lots of people talk about it on video or in other ways, and probably way more people don't talk about it at all. So I guess in that way I'm hoping that this might maybe not be encouraging, so it's kind of a downer video, but if you find this, you're going through the same kind of thing, feeling discouraged, just wishing there was a little bit more momentum going on. I hope that this can at least give you some solidarity, just knowing that there's other people like you, doing the same thing and experiencing kind of lack of fulfillment or in whatever way from that. Because definitely true, even if you don't see it, there's tons of people that feel the same as you in whatever area, and would want to support you. So if this video finds you unwell, and kind of sick of the whole deal, I hope you can get something out of it. And if not, and you just listen to some dude be a downer for however long this is, well, I guess thanks for sticking through to the end if you made it here. I'll try and be a little bit more interesting and positive in some other videos, but there's just been something I've been feeling and kind of noticing, trends and stuff, and types of videos I see pop up and my feelings about it. So I guess that's all.